times. Look, and me and Misty also talked about this too. The thing about it is, it's a contract start.
Absolutely.
So we have to start off with the contract.
Yes.
And the real problem that you have is everybody wants to do these handshake contracts, and they don't want to put something in writing that identifies with specificity what it is that happens from the beginning and then what happens when the relationship fails.
You are absolutely correct, because Darrell, we talk about it the same. It's like a marriage contract. You love that person when you first go into it. Everything is hunky-dory, and but things happen. During the course of a transaction, you may discover this is somebody I really don't feel comfortable working with. I thought that their work was at one level, but it's not there. So there has to be, not only is there a way to begin a contract, but what happens when I want to end it? So all of that is included in your contract. And so it's like it's the ABCs of contractual relationships.
Yeah, and so so we got to break this down with that question. I don't know. There's a show with Adam Sandler that was a movie. It was called The Water Boy.
Yeah. Oh yes.
Yeah. And in the movie The Water Boy, his mother would say everything that was bad. She would say, "That's the devil."
The devil.
That's the devil. Well, Facebook and social media is almost the devil.
Darrell, you are exactly right for someone who is of my age, where I'm absolutely lost doing social media. So it is the devil.
Yeah. and so, but what I mean by that is, which I found out the other day that I didn't know. With Twitter, I think it's Twitter. Twitter, you get so many characters that you can type. And once you type them, you can't erase them. You can't back them out.
What?
Once you type them, they are captured, typos and all, and they're gone.
And you know what, Darrell? That may explain something, too, because they always talked about President Trump using 28 characters because that was one of his favorite media outlets, but they also talked about how he had misspells, punctuation problems. That may account for it then, Darrell.
Let me tell you something, man. If I had to write something and send it out immediately, it will have typos, punctuation issues in it, and spelling issues.
Absolutely.
It would have grammar issues. And again, I write for a living, and I like to think I write pretty decent.
Yeah.
And so my point is, the thing that makes my writing seem a whole lot better is I have the ability to edit. I have the ability to sit down and relax and take care of and do some things.
That's right.
So, and the problem with a lot of those social media things is once you send them, or once once they leave, it's almost hard to bring them back.
Yes,
you can't uncapture those things.
Recently, I think a black group came up with a way to bring back a text message or an email. You used to couldn't recall those, but I believe you can recall an email now.
Yeah, you can. You can recall a lot of stuff, but at the end of the day, anybody that got it, before it got recalled, still has it.
Okay.
Yeah, it's still out there. I mean, you recall it, but they still have it.
Okay.
But I set out to say this, because social media has so many different things that are out there. When you contract somebody to do your social media, you actually have to have this document that constrains them and penalize them when they violate those constraints.
And there also, I just thought about something too. I got one of my partners who does domestic support relationships. You cannot imagine how many divorces are granted, penalized, or denied based on some kind of comment on this social media platform.
Yeah, a guy asked me to represent him on a matter, and they were going to throw him in jail for contempt because the court had specifically stated that he could not speak about this person. Okay? He could not speak, insinuate, talk to a third party, anything about this person. I don't know how much clearer that needs to be.
I think
and he was talking to somebody else about this person, even though he's not supposed to, and then that person was talking to somebody else.
Oh my goodness!
And it was captured in social media. And so
clear violation.
That's a violation. That's a contempt order issue, and you're going to have some issues. So when you give those types of liberties,
yes,
you have
permissions.
Permissions. You have to make sure that everything that you want captured or reflected, is captured.
Absolutely.
Because there are some things. If you don't have a contract, there's an argument that all the stuff the person had after you gave them to them is now they now own it.
That's exactly right.
And so if they're taking it and manipulating it to their advantage, then there's an argument that it's mine.
That's kind of like what we talk about with artists too. When they keep their own.
Yeah.
What do they call it there when you keep your own
printings, writings
and stuff? So all the music that you keep your masters.
Keep your masters.
And so it's the same kind of thing, and that's why contracts is so important. We spent a whole year,
man.
talking about contracts in law school.
Yeah.
Destructing, constructing, breaking them, redlining. I mean, look, what you call it there when they blue line something. So it's not something that's you take lightly.
Yeah, and I hate to say this to that person that was calling. I really think they're going to have some issues here. But just say hypothetically that they could get around this, intellectual property thing and this breach of contract thing. Then the next part of that is it's got to be slander. Or libel. Well, it's going to be in writing. So that's in writing is libel, and in paper. I mean, verbal is slander, and in writing is libel.
Libel. Okay.
And so the statute of limitation is, I always screw this up. I think it's for libel, the statute of limitation is 6 months, and I think for slander is 1 year.
Darrell, you're exactly right. I get them mixed up too, but in other words, it's a very short
it's a very short period of time. But the point of that is, just because I put something out about you that may be a lie, because you have to establish it as a lie first. So I put out there that Jerome used black ink. And Jerome ain't never used black ink. He used blue ink.
Don't even know how to get
and
black ink.
I knew that Jerome don't use that, and so I put that out on somewhere, and that's a lie.
Yes.
So did I start slander or libel? Probably. Now here's the next stage, and this is where every one of them fail. What are your losses?
Well, first of all, too, there before you get there, one thing too is that we are trying to establish a claim, all right? But truth is an absolute defense. Right. So I do use black ink.
Right.
Then I lose.
Yeah.
Automatically.
If there's any truth to what somebody says,
it's an absolute defense.
That's a defense.
Yes.
I mean, or if I believe it to be the truth.
That's right.
That's because in order, remember, slander and libel was an intentional tort.
That's right.
So you have to prove that I had intent.
That's right.
To harm you.
That's right.
So if I believe or reasonably believe that I am telling the truth, then again, that's a pretty decent defense. Or it is the truth. That's an absolute defense.
Right. That's right.
But where every claim fails, Jerome, is damages.
Well, that's true. But there. And because this is why a show like we're having tonight is very important, because you can be compensated for it, but your damages have to be specific.
Yeah, right.
And so what you start to do, as soon as you discover that this whole arrangement is going awry, you start to document what your damages are, because damages are always money. We're always talking about money.
Always talking about money.
So you start talking about, so he did it, and there you use this all the time. So what?
So what?
So taking everything that you just said.
So what?
So what? Well, so what is that because I've lost business because of this person. Now I used to be a respected person in my group, my National Association of Broadcasters. When I come in, they absolutely stand up and applaud. But now that you have put this information up, when I come in now, I hear them rather than standing up, they're speaking and talking against me. And when I call, the same people who I have a contractual relationship now won't even take my calls. Now we're building up to some damages.
We're building up,
Yeah.
but we still are short because
well, I'm going to tell you now. This was a $1.5 million contract.
Now we're starting to talk.
That's what $1.5 million contract. All I had to do now is walk in the door and sign off on the papers. But now they refuse to even answer the phone when I call.
Yeah, and that's it.
Yeah.
and you know, because again, you have to show loss.
That's right.
I mean, if you say that this is harming my business, then you got to show that harm.
That's right.
You know, I used to get 10 contracts, and now I only get 8. But every time somebody calls and they say that they're not going to give me this contract, they say, well, I saw this on your Facebook
That's
page.
right.
Or I read this on your Facebook page. Or I heard this on your Facebook page. You know, then now you can connect the dots, because you just can't say, well, I believe this was because of my faith. You got to connect the dots.
Well, there even because it's my understanding that this person may have had some domestic relational type problems too, because it is interfering with their relationship with their spouse. So the spouse is also being turned about, and now they're having to go to counseling.
Now, there you go. Now you're getting some damage.
Look there, because I saw you when you started doing your head like that.
Yeah.
You were about to say, so what?
Yeah, you get ready to get the so what.
But the so what is that we are almost divorced,
right,
because she keeps hearing that I have 2-3 children on the outside.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know,
right.
And so in other words, I bought a car for someone.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying?
Right.
So now I'm still getting this damage now, because the money that I'm having to spend now to go to counseling is a part of my damage.
And you know, but counseling itself is considered, you know, that's an emotional damage. That's
exactly.
A non-economical damage. So, you know, so you can establish these things with these non-economical things.
That's right.
But, you know, here's where people they never make it happen. Economical damages, the way I believe it, Jerome, and I may be wrong, so you can educate me on this, but the way I believe
or enhance it or
yeah,
something, try to make it a little more detailed. Yeah. We can do that.
Okay, the way I believe about non-economical damages is this. If you're complaining that somebody posting this information on this document caused me mental stress.
Woo.
Okay, that's what you're alleging.
Mental anguish.
Mental anguish, mental
yes.
stress.
Yes.
But you go to the counselor and you're talking about your job.
Oh, my goodness.
You're talking about, you know, baby. You're talking about kids. You're talking about everything else. You have just killed, in my opinion, your emotional damage claim.
You sure have.
Because in order for me to be responsible for your emotional damages, that's the only thing that you need to be talking about.
But also too, Darrell, you know, I'm always I'm always a little corrective.
Yeah.
So say you did that on your first time,
right?
Because you really are not comfortable revealing how this made you feel.
Yeah.
So maybe in the first notes that the counselor has, he was evasive.
Right.
He never would. Several times I had to redirect. Do you see what I'm saying? And so that can be accounted for.
Yeah.
That this is so deeply personal to me that I wasn't comfortable with the counselor yet. But as we started to warm to one another, then it all starts to come out.
Yeah.
You follow me?
I do.
Yeah.
And I think you're probably right, Jerome, on that. And I said, but the thing about it is, look, the one thing that you don't want to hang your hat on in any case is non-economical damages. You do not want to hang your entire damage or harm case on non-economical damage.
I got you.
Because if you don't have any tangible damages, you know, and some courts are not going to even let you get to there because economical damage is not enough.
Well, you're great. You're absolutely right. In fact, some courts have a minimum in order to even reach that's a federal. What is it? It has to be
$75,001.
In controversy. Then you get because it sounds too. This might possibly be a case for federal courts if it's crossed state lines.
Yeah.
And a lot of times we do hire people across the state line to handle that kind of thing. But the bottom line is that the way to prevent all of these issues is to sit down and write out what it is that you are expecting. Contractual relationship. I agreed to do this in exchange for compensation from you. All right. Now, but all of the documentation, all of my source codes, they remain my property, and upon the dissolution of this relationship, they are returned to me immediately. And then you also have to have a default clause to let you there.
You do. You do. And you know what, Jerome, I think you are all over that. I mean, because, you know, again, that's where people go awry.
Yes.
I mean, nobody wants to do the initial hard work. Nobody wants to. Here is.
You are so right, man.
Here is my nemesis. My nemesis is the client that comes into my office and asks me to fix something after the fact.
Oh, my goodness.
That's my nemesis. And the reason why that's my nemesis is, you know, trying to fix something
it's always
is extremely hard.
Yes.
I mean, the landmines, man, you know.
Well, and that's why they say an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
Yeah.
But you know, Darrell, come to think of it, we have a real live situation going on right now. I don't know how much you are into sports, but remember this coach now that they're talking about had all these emails out there talking about gay people, talking about racial all stuff.
Everything.
Isn't that somewhat about what we're talking about? Maybe because once you put it out there, it's in the clouds.
It's out there. Hey, you know, now you're talking about John Gruden.
Yeah.
And you know, and I had this conversation actually with my wife. You know, I had this conversation, and here was my concern with the John Gruden matter. I think what John Gruden did and what he said and all those things were problematic. Okay? I absolutely believe they were problematic. My concern is all of those things happened before he became an employee of the NFL. So how do you punish me for something before I was an employee?
Oh, they're doing it all the time.
I'm just, again,
they do that
if I don't have
all the time now.
No. Now what happened there? Now I'm gonna tell you what happened. The NFL didn't discipline him, and nobody. Gruden just resigned.
Rather than
I think he would have had I think they would have had an issue.
You think so?
It was they knew about it before they hired it.
Oh, they knew it already?
It was from him to NFL people. It was to him to different coaches.
But I thought he was talking about the president of the National Football League Players Association.
He was doing all of that
before he became
a coach.
Oh, I didn't realize.
Yeah. See, what happened is, now when he was doing all that when he was working for ESPN.
Okay.
Now, if ESPN wanted to do something about it, that's a different issue.
Well, I think that's the same thing happened to the guy who was supposed to take over Jeopardy, wasn't it? That they went back in his history and saw some stuff in there too.
Yeah. Well, here's the thing: you going back, right? And let me just say this, man. And everybody's got to look in the mirror. Okay. Everybody has to look in the mirror. I would be an absolute hypocrite.
I agree.
If I would say to you,
I agree.
There are some things that I have done, some things that I have said that were not proper.
But that's why you get right on top of it. You don't start denying. You don't start saying, I absolutely not. You say, this is the word they now say, I'm not a perfect person. That's how you say it now. And you do have a history. But be careful. But just get on top of it and admit.
But here's the difference. Yeah, but here's the difference between me, probably you, and John Gruden. None of what I just said is in emails. None of what I just said is on my social media. I've never said anything that was messed up like that, or that's something that I was embarrassed about saying in an email or on a social media.
But some of your friends that you grew up with can come back later on and say,
oh, absolutely,
and say, hey, I remember when.
Oh, absolutely.
And that's how they're doing a lot of it.
But
too.
no. But John Gruden, his scenario is it's in writing.
Okay, yeah.
It's in writing. They have the emails.
Okay.
They have, and Derek Carr said the best thing out of all. Hey, what John Gruden did and what he said, it's a problem, and I got a lot of concern about it. Let's get everybody's stuff. Look, let's get everybody who he was talking to, because it was
without sin. He let him cast the first stone.
Because what Carr
said,
Carr said was bad, powerful. Because what Carr was saying, John Gruden is having these conversations with somebody. So what are they responding back? Yeah, I agree with you, man. Because one of the issues was they didn't want females referees.
Certainly
in
not.
the NFL.
Yeah.
One of them was about gay people playing football. Mm-hmm. One of them was about Colin Kaepernick kneeling. One of them was about it's just a bunch of racists.
But they said something about how the Players Association person about his looks, and they talked about he was not smart, or he was his intellectual capacity, and all that kind of stuff. Which is totally racist stuff. And it's the same kind of stuff with "Make America Great Again." When I heard him, and I don't watch football that much and stuff like that, but I did hear some snippets about we want to preserve the integrity of the game, which means about gay people and about females being involved in it too.
Yeah.
So which is all. And there, let me say this too. We are in a whole new, different world with this relationship with men and women. There was a time when men and women were in a relationship where a man was dominant and he could do some of the things to females that are now being called out just like that. Like commenting on how attractive a person is. That used to be pretty much acceptable. But now if you do that now, the next thing you know, you're going to get fired.
And and my wife used to get on me about it, because it was nothing for me to say, to some lady, man, that's a nice dress you got on. Your hair looks really nice. And she say, what is wrong with you? What is wrong with you? I said, but that's nice.
You can't do that anymore.
Oh, now, dog, I won't even speak. You can't do man. Now I'm the bad guy.
Right.
I'm walking around with shutters on my face, man, like one of them horses, man.
It's a new day altogether, and so we as men, we got to learn how to operate. I'm not saying it was fair, it was right, it was terrible. It shouldn't have happened. But in our new relationship with men and women now, men have got to learn how to adapt. Right.
Well, everybody's got to learn how to adapt. Everybody's got to learn how to adapt, because, let me just say, man, everything is not harassment, right? I mean, it's just not. Because hold on.
I'm choking a little bit.
No, hold on.
Finish.
I'm
still kind of choking. But
well, here's the thing.
Okay.
Because I'm talking about legal harassment now. I'm not talking about what people perceive out there.
I got you. Doesn't rise to the standard.
What your perception is,
I got you,
and what you believe, that's your belief. I can't control any of that.
I got you.
All I control is, I can't control any with the law. The law says what is considered harassment.
Gotcha.
It's severe and pervasive conduct. Okay?
But then that's really not a gauge, because severe to you may not be severe to me. It's kind of like pornography, in it. The Chief Justice says we can't define what it is, but we know it when we see it.
Yeah.
That's kind of the same thing.
It used to be that if somebody used the N-word, right, that was considered racist.
Okay.
The court has gotten to the point that the use of the N-word, exactly.
I saw that.
And the use of the N-word the sting has been taken out of it from the court.
Yeah.
The court says if somebody uses it once, you get a pass.
Right.
It's almost like the other thing. I always talk about this, and I tell when I'm counseling even women on sexual harassment, I said, I hate to tell you this, the law said, it's like a dog, Everybody gets a free comment. One. Everybody gets a free one pat on the butt. Now, you may knock all their teeth out because they do it.
There.
I'm just telling you.
You mean to tell me that the law says that you can pat a woman on the butt?
No, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. I'm just saying. It says that you get a free. It's like a dog.
If it happens.
You have to show that I have a propensity for this type of conduct.
Okay, I got you.
You know, so if I did it once and there's no propensity, how can the employer be responsible for something they had no knowledge of?
Oh.
Now, you may knock out that person's teeth.
Okay.
But again, severe and pervasive pattern of conduct. That's what the law says.
But
one is not a pattern.
That gives you a chance, too, to tell an employer, too, about the need to have a method for them to report this kind of conduct outside of...
Yeah. Well,
free and clear.
Yeah. No. All and all companies have that, because if you don't have that, then you subject yourself to responsibility.
That's right.
You have to have a policy that people can implicate.
That's right.
And if you don't have that policy, then you subject yourself to whatever happens. You know, if you got some, Chester child molester working for you, and you don't have some policy, then the company is going to be responsible for this.
And then the one who is causing me my anguish is the one I have to report to.
Right.
There should be a pattern to get around that person.
And most companies have a policy that goes around.
Right.
All of the point to that is that, social media and the way you put that platform together, if you're going to release that ability to somebody else, you have to have guidelines on how you're releasing it. Because if you don't have guidelines, you are opening Pandora's box to let that person do whatever you want to.
Without a doubt.
Now, if somebody took some, so
I'm sorry, there, and they also posting pictures and stuff too.
Well, I'm glad you said that, because you must have been reading my mind.
I knew exactly what you were going.
Yeah. So here's what happened: you're in a relationship with somebody, and you guys are sending naked pictures back and forth to each other. The argument is that person owns those pictures once you send it to them. But there is criminal law now that prohibits you from, shaming or posting those pictures as a way to denigrate or harm somebody. Tennessee has, it's called, I always call it the bully statute, but it's not. It's called the Healthy Workforce Act.
Okay.
I think you can use those types of things to sue people that do those types of things.
I think you're right.
Because, if you're putting my pictures out there without my permission, you have to be doing it to harm me.
That's exactly
to
right.
To bully me, to intimidate me, and those are things that are not acceptable under the statute.
That's right. That's right.
So we said a whole lot about. I know we're getting close on time.
But there also. So we talked about it. We talked about the problem. Now, what's the solution? The solution is probably to seek an injunction immediately.
It is. Yeah. The solution, you hit it on the head. I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
The solution is an injunction. Now, the injunction, you have to be able to establish, one, irreparable harm.
Yes.
There's no other means to protect you without the court intervening. But you also have to be able to show likelihood of success.
That's right.
And those two are hard, because if money will fix it, it's not irreparable harm.
That's right.
If there's a chance that you would lose, it's not a likelihood of success.
That's right.
Now, likelihood of success is a little different than, the irreparable harm. Because, if you got a 50-50 chance of winning, that's likelihood of success.
Well, can you get in chancery with that?
You can.
Because that's where you need to be in an equitable court rather than a law court, because a law court may deny you the opportunity to do it, but in an equitable situation, you could get it, because equity may deem something is wrong, whereas the law may or may not have caught up with it yet.
Yeah, I think the issue is you can get into chancery or circuit court on it, and you did hit it on the head. Chancery court being a court of equity, there is some liberties that the court can take, but at the same token, there's still some law that you got to be able to get.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So, all right, so we didn't cover the second question, and the second question was, people being on your property without your permission. So what we'll do is we'll tackle that question on the next show because, and look, all you Facebook people that are watching, this show is about social media.
That's right.
And about all these platforms that are out there that become your worst nightmare. You got questions about these platforms and how they can be used for you or against you. You know, ask us in the law. How does that help you?
Absolutely.
And we'll answer that question. Thank you for watching the show. We'll see you back next week. Also, hold on for Facebook.
We will travel. Reach more people by joining our digital platform. Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, and 874-901-244-6874. Call us today. Church's virtual broadcasting done right.